Well, welcome to JannLee versus TheFinnisher for the Crazyhouse Teamleague. And it's is a board 1 match, of course. And so that means it's gonna be 5 plus 5 seconds and best of 2 games. And exciting to see what the players will come up with, especially opening wise. The standings is 3-1 in favor of the finishers team. So it would be good for JannLee to win this one 2-0 to get his team back on 3-3. He just notified me that the finisher will be there any second, so they just started the game, so spectators would be able to join. So yeah, JannLee will be happy if he takes it 2-0, because then the team result will be 3-3 with 3 more matches to go, give his team a fair chance. But on the other hand, the finisher also will be looking for a victory. And as you can see, JannLee, as probably with any Crazyhouse player on Lee Chess, has a favorable score. So he's probably slight favorite. And also he seems to be enjoying slower time controls. But let's not rule out the finisher, who has usually excellent preparation. And besides his preparation, also just very strong player. So we'll see. We have a modern pairs set up with g6, d6, and the finisher opting for bishop b5, and JannLee not blocking but quickly going king f8. That's an interesting move. I guess he's saying I'll just push my h pawn and cover h6. And also not wasting a move on c6 or knight c6. Guess there's something to say for it. The finisher commenting he saw king f8 before against JannLee as well. So knowing the finisher, he looked at castles. He knew castles is the best move, and probably knows some other ideas in this position. So he won't be out of book very quickly. So JannLee playing h6, covering the dark squares around his king, because that's going to be the entry point of white if you leave this open like this. So knight h4. The downside by the system by black is that he's somewhat down in development, so white could try for f4, f5. Maybe bring the bishop back and try to play on the light squares. Now the dark squares are sufficiently covered. And this is original play by JannLee, but it's going to take him, of course, some time to figure out the right moves. Because how are you going to develop here? Okay, he's just playing knight c6. And you might say, why not knight c6 in response of bishop b5? But of course, if the king is here, d5 picks up the piece. So now knight c6 makes more sense, and if d5, the knight is able to move. Somewhat forcing could be d5, knight e5, and f4. But the finisher not going for the f4 idea. at least rook e1 is stating that f4 won't be on the board soon, I feel. Hey Borneus, welcome. So I guess playing knight h4 and rook h1 are a bit out of sync with each other, but maybe if you're able to push e6 and e5 first, of course, and then e6 and takes, then g6 might be a bit vulnerable. But JannLee immediately spotting that he might have some stuff on f2. Knight takes f2 and bishop takes d4, for example, is an idea. Borneus, the team of the finisher is 3-1 ahead. So if JannLee wins 2-0, the score is tied, and if the finisher wins 2-0, it's 5-1, and you need 7 or 6.5 points to win the team match. So you could say it's important. I'll take a look, Captain Peter Chess, at your channel. And thanks for the compliments. Alright, so the finisher decides to go bishop e3, cover f2, cover d4, looks very sensible. Knight takes, pawn takes, bishop at g5, knight f3 seems fine for white. Hey, Night My Gryphon, welcome. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of streaming today. I'm doing this this commentary first, and then I'll take a break, and then the shields at 6, or maybe I join a little bit later than 6, so in 3 hours. And I have a lot of time tonight, so I probably can play the whole shield arena as well. So it's gonna be a content-heavy day today. But first we have this game. Knight takes h2 played, e5, and the queen opening up to the knights, and d4 under pressure. Knight takes d4 next, for example, wins a pawn. Hey, Earth64. Ja, Dressor, grote kleerkast. You're right. Yeah, so knight takes d4 is on. And if you, for example, would like to cover the knight and the pawn at once with knight f3, then I think pawn at g4 is interesting. So yeah, GSVC commenting, this looks nice for Jan now. Yeah, it is. Feel like, yeah, bishop e3 might be a mistake, but I also feel like knight f3 and rook e1 combined, knight h4 and rook e1 combined may have been a bit inaccurate. But we'll see. Maybe the finisher finds a strong idea here. Okay, he goes knight f3, and now let's see. I expect him to play pawn at g4. Because you could say, okay, I'll trade on c6, but I take f3, and then queen h4 and the bishop are going to be strong on that on the king, while the bishop here on c6 is not doing much. But okay, he proves me wrong. He's going knight takes d4. And if the knight gets traded, the knight can land on g4, of course. But the finisher can play knight d5 as well here. So he's not obligated to take on d4. And there we go, knight d5. Now e7. e7 might be a problem later. But still, I like pawn at g4 with the same idea. Kicking the knight and going queen h4. That must be good for black. Pawn at g4, knight takes d4, queen h4. You don't have to worry about pawn e7 anymore. Maybe he's a bit reluctant to do it because his back rank is a bit weak with the bishop still on c8. So he's kicking the knight first. Very weird suggestion, but maybe you can take on d4 with the queen. Bishop takes, pawn at d7, and the knight is doing a nice defensive job. And and then the critical move is probably taking the knight. But then maybe you could just get away with queen takes d5. I'm not sure. We're not seeing that. The finisher is just trying to open up the e-file like this. And now he's also threatening, if let's say black makes a random move, a6 or something, then white is threatening knight takes g6 and pawn takes pawn d7. So bishop at g5, if you take it, there's a discovery. So you can't take it. You can take it, but you don't have time for bishop at e7 next. You need to deal with the check first. So the finisher playing nicely here, just going back. And now there might be some threat of knight takes g5 and pawn at d7. But it feels like JannLee is just in time with his defensive setup. Bishop at pawn at c6 now. Knight takes g5. I guess you take the knight. But maybe it's possible. Knight takes g5, takes knight, just take back. Because there's no queen takes g5 because of rook e8 then. But alright, the finisher decides otherwise. He goes takes d4, and if you take back, he has some threats on g7. But the bishop on g5 will be a good defender now, because it's not under attack. And we're getting into time trouble situations. So let's see, JannLee taking a big think here and leveling the time. So now it's going to be mutual time trouble. Knight at h3 was suggested. Okay, I don't know for sure. Let's just stick to the game. So JannLee piling up on the dark squares, and that's usually the sign to switch gears and go to the light squares. Yeah, taking could have been possible. White is doing a really good job. I felt black was clearly better, but the finisher still in it. It's hard. It's going to be hard to defend though, because black is controlling the trades For example, we now can push for this knight. Yeah, there we go. And if the knight has to retreat, white's attack is over. And then you can take a pawn maybe. You could be annoying and put a pawn on h2 if you want to. Knight e3 is an idea to pick up the rook. Okay, now it's kind of forcing knight e3, and he's going to take. And now you have to worry about rook at f2, so you have to do something here. Borny is asking what's Jan's FIDE. I think he is not playing chess for quite a long time, but he used to be 2100, 2200, maybe FM level at some stage. I thought I heard him say that once, but if you want to know for sure, you have to ask him on stream later. Ooh, time. Okay, but now taking the knight and knight at f2. And white has just no counterplay yet, so he can just play knight at f2 and pick up the queen. He can even take d4, alright. Finisher trying to find counterplay, I think it's a good idea. Maybe there was something forcing here already instead of knight at c6. Some knight at f2 ideas. But alright, he's taking it safe. Bishop e6 now to pick up the knight, I guess. Because knight on f2 is going to be really good. Knight f4 seems needed. Ooh. Pawn at e2 in between maybe. Queen takes e6 was nothing because you can take the rook then. If you take the queen now, there knight takes, and there was the pin on the f file. So very resourceful here in time trouble. And still black is better, but white is trying to find counterplay. But now it's going to be big material losses. You can take the rook. Try to take the bishop, so you have rook at g1 and bishop at e2, harassing the queen. Okay, so now the knight is attacking the rook, so bishop at e2 is not working. It's going for bishop at e4. Cover both. JannLee just not trying to find a killer blow. He's just saying, all right, I've seemed to have the better position here. I'm a piece up for a couple of pawns, but you need a lot of time to place them. I'm just going to play it slowly. But if the finisher gets time to put all his pawns on the board to create some threats around the black king, then he might have chances. But for now, it looks like black is better. And g5, pick up knights. Or push f4 maybe. Because now black has another couple of pieces in hand. You can think about pawn at f3 maybe, or just knight takes g2. Yeah, 2 pieces up even. You're right. Yeah, he has a rook as well. Okay, so now it's maybe time to calculate for a mate. Because I think he's just taking the queen. That's fine as well. And saying, how do you mate me here? I don't see it. And now knight at f2. Or knight f2. Yeah, knight f2 feels mating. Because if king h2, you can drop a knight on g4. He's going queen f1. He wants to trade off the rook. Okay, you can take it if you want. There was also, if this rook moves and the king moves to h2, there's some check with the bishop. Knight at g4. Knight at g4 is not needed, I guess. Okay, there we go, knight at g4. Queen at h2, smothered mate. You have to take with the bishop and then knight f2. Okay, so JannLee takes the first game. And now has the white pieces. And although black has some nice openings and Crazyhouse is far from being solved, or at least for human players, the advantage is not as clear, so could go either way. Hey, Happiness Bunny, Jan is my favorite player, yeah. I think a lot of people will agree that with you. So d5 here, and I'm excited to see what JannLee is going to play here, because the finisher knows this for sure. And I'm just following. I'm just checking what they are going to play, and I'm trusting that this is all theory and could go either way. But we'll see. The finisher having a think, probably figuring out how to take back. Black's play is it's all about knight takes g2. That you have that threat. You play knight takes g2. The king has to move to f1 and pawn here. And I think taking with the queen is wise because this knight is defending some squares. Now the bishop first to get some defense, and then take the queen, I guess. Nice theory, yeah. Happiness Bunny, are you still in book with this up to move 14, bishop at c5? JannLee has used no time just for moving his pieces, but he isn't thinking. Okay, so pawn at d6 seemed logical. Okay, and now we have the knight takes g2, pawn at d2, knight at f4 or something. It feels like you need something forcing because the knights are covering a place you would like to put your queen. pawn here. Knight at f4. Takes, king, and then king d1. Feels safe. Bishop at c4 is covering the mate. So you only need to cover this mate next, and you probably could take the knight. And this is also designed, if you block with the pawn, there might be the option of bishop takes c4, pawn takes, and then if knight at f4, followed by queen at e2, the knight can capture the d3 pawn if the king is running to c1. So just to recap, pawn at d3, bishop takes, and this is not forced, but it's just the idea. Takes, knight at f4, bishop takes, knight takes f4. King d1, queen e2, king c1, knight takes d3, and then black mates. So if this happens, takes, taking with the king is probably not good. So takes, knight at f4, bishop takes, knight takes. Then the king has to move somewhere else than this way. So king f3, probably taking the knight, but I'm not sure. I think the king is going to be safe if it runs up. Because then these knights are just covering everything very nicely. And white is threatening, for example, a move like if you take this knight, queen at d8 is game over. Or close to game over, it feels. So yeah, Pepe asking in chat if knight at f4 is possible, but I think just takes, queen, king d1, queen at e2, king b2. Okay, you have to take, because otherwise it's just going to be mate, I feel. Is he thinking about king f3? King f3? Queen e2, king g3? Could be safe as well. He's thinking about it. Is it any other king move is queen e2 is just strong. King e3, queen e2, king d4 takes the bishop. That's probably over. Oh, king d2. Ah, he can run to c3, of course. And now maybe not drop the queen on e2, king c3, and then you have no defensive resource left. Yeah, queen d8. Queen d8 seemed good, but queen d8 seemed better with the bishop still open. So maybe queen d8 now not the best move. Queen d8, king g7 is almost forced. You could try knight and block with the knight, but the knight would be probably more useful in the attack. Thanks for the follow, demonized. Or DM0 Okay, so queen at h6 is also a possibility. Because there is not a useful blocker. So queen at h6. Queen h6, queen g7 maybe. But I don't see how black is mating. because if queen at h6 and knight, if queen at g7 you take and you play queen at e7. Looks good. You also may try, yeah, queen at d7, queen at d8. I was thinking queen at d8, king g7, but then pawn at h6, king g6, pawn at f5. Seems to be okay. Okay, so pawn at h6 is a suggestion if black has no mate, so we need to figure out if there's mate. Queen e2, king c3. There might even be some weird stuff with queen takes c2 and bishop takes d3. And Alper Oasen is also suggesting if queen e2, king c3, knight at a4. You cannot really take that, I guess, because of and there's also queen e2, king c3, knight at d5, takes, and you can take here, or you can use these pawns. So queen d8 as suggested, and now the choice, I guess, is knight or knight e8 or queen g7. Let's see if queen at e8, there's queen takes f6, so queen e8, knight he's going for the knight blocker. Okay, so now I thought pawn at g7, king e7, queen e7, but maybe also pawn at h6 is not possible because the knight is no longer in hand. So queen e2, king c3. There's no knight check on d5 or d5 or anywhere. So pawn g7 is now the major threat. It's just king g8 and takes, and put a new pawn on the board, king g8 back and rook at h8. That's the mating threat. Hey, thanks for the follow. IT12 win, welcome to the stream. Oh, LM is it's a title that Lichess used to give out earlier. In the early days for exceptional players in a variant or in a couple of chess variants. And they don't give it anymore. Yeah, it means Lichess Master, thanks White Dancing Rockstar. And they don't give it out anymore, but there's still a couple of LMs around. For example, JannLee for his contribution to the Crazyhouse scene. And if you have played marathon tournaments, you also know Lance. I think it's also Lance 5-5. Yeah, he's also LM, as you can see here. But let's focus on the game. Queen at e7. I was not sure what he's going to play, but queen at e7, and he's going to sack his queen. Wow, is this working? It might be working defensively speaking, but he has no attack left. Just grabbing the defender of f7. So now you're threatening queen at f7, king h6, queen takes f6, knight takes f6, bishop at g7, checkmate. Oh, he missed it, I guess. Queen at f7, king h6, queen takes f6, knight takes f6, bishop at g7, king takes, queen f6, Maybe not the right order by me, but something there. Let's check if you can find it. Queen at f7, king h6 forced. Maybe start with bishop at g7. Yeah. Queen at f7, king h6, bishop at g7. Forcing some take or knight takes, and then you take f6. But this is also probably correct, because now if you had to block, there's nothing. And now you can have your pick. No, I'm commenting. I take to win. There, and also a bit on delay, so I miss you. I see your moves suggestions a bit later. Okay, so h4. You can just take. There's no rook to cover, and then you can take this one. And now there's mating one. Well played. What a nice game this was.